Yeah, so what happened? It will come.
There,
There it is.
it's on. It turned off again.
On back.
There. Okay.
There,
Thank
yeah.
you.
And I don't-
Okay, I'd like to welcome you all to our fourth session this afternoon, and those who are online as well. We welcome you all to our fourth session for this afternoon. If you have been faithfully attending our workshops, we have covered so far ethnography, qualitative research, appreciative inquiry, and today we will be looking at action research. I'd like to welcome our presenter for this afternoon, Dr. Sam Gaikwad. He's from he's a professor in the School of Education, teaching for 20 plus years now. He's been teaching research methods, curriculum, philosophy, and also statistics subjects. And so, Dr. Sam, we welcome you to our session for this afternoon. Before we start, can you all close your eyes and I'll offer a word of prayer. Our dear Heavenly Father in heaven, we seek for your presence, and also may your Holy Spirit be here this afternoon to be able to give us the insights that we need to learn, the skills that we need to pick up through this qualitative approach. May what we learn, we can apply it in our studies as well. Bless our presenter for this afternoon as he presents this qualitative research. May you be with each and every one of us and our families, and also those who are online as well. I pray for them. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. So, okay. Thank you, Liza, for the kind introduction. We are indeed very happy that qualitative research is taking a wonderful form here at AIIAS, because many are interested in learning how to do qualitative studies. Now, qualitative studies mainly are descriptive, and they are mostly for the consumption of the researcher and the context that they are in. Most of the time, that's what happens. Whichever context you are in, you learn. And then you try to understand what are different kinds of things that may happen around us, which need to be noted down and which need to be studied. But I like this one. This is very much personal. Action research, a research for me that I love. Yeah. This research can be done, there was a course once upon a time in AIIAS, among the courses that were required for students to take, and one of the courses was action research. The action research, why was it there? Because many government organizations at that time insisted that every institution should have action research oriented introductions to the research. And it was there. Even in India, where I come from, the government insisted that every educational institution must provide action research, because they said the other researchers, most of the time, they go into the shelf after the research is done. People don't go there many times. If somebody is doing some research, they may look for any reference that they may want from your research. However, action research is timely for you at your to find out for yourself what is best for you in a certain circumstances. So, to start with, let me tell you that this is comes from a story you have learned. I do not know if you have read it. Charles Dickens stories. Charles Dickens wrote a lot of stories. And in the one of the books, he said, The Tale of Two Cities. That was one of the books I had to study in high school, when I was in high school. The Tale of Two Cities. His English is immaculate, wonderful writer, and the story is very engaging. And he started the story like this. The Tale of Two Cities was the name of the book. And he said, it was the best of times and it was the worst of times. That is the beginning line of the story, the book. It was the best of times and it was the worst of times. And this goes to look at the schools now. When you look at the schools, some you feel like visiting again for you feel good when you visit those schools. And others you feel depressed, even air seems heavy when you get into those schools. Some schools are not at all pleasant to go to. So, the best of times and the worst of times. Happy school. What is a happy school? Happy school is students are excited about learning. They look happy. They eagerly participate in activities. They are achievers. They look forward to classes. Okay, that is happy school. What about the sad school? No, but the teachers, what are the teachers professionally? How do the teachers look like when you go to this happy school? They are involved in professional work. They themselves are curious. They elaborate, use novel strategies, and assess progress and change strategies as needed. So these teachers, teach the students with different strategies, get them engaged, get them involved, and get them do activities. And the students are happy to interact with each other and produce results. So that is happy school. What about sad school? A sad school, the worst of times, we say. The sad school is one, students continuously watch the clock. They want to know when the bell will ring so they can go out. Count the days until school is out. Endure education, always complain. They are enduring education. They are not enjoying education. They are saying, oh, parents are sending, so quietly sit here. And so it is an endurance for them. What about teachers? Continuously watch the clock also. They want to know when 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, when the school finishes, get out and go home. Continue, count the years until retirement. Complain about why things aren't the way they should be, and have attitude of defeatism. They think everything is negative, defeatist idea. So these are the sad schools. Now, I'm not saying that action research is only for schools. When I was teaching this course, we engage the students in their personal life, doing their personal things. And I'm going to tell you how the results showed. There were parents, there were ladies in the class, some men also. And I said, you can do research, because that was one of the requirements. They had to do the research. So they said, can we do research on our children? I said, yes, this is action research. Do it on our children. What is the problem? Oh boy. One lady said, my daughter, now she said this, okay, I'm not saying. She said she's so lazy. I have to push her and pull her out of the bed to go to school. Hurriedly eating, always going late to school, never achieving, coming very unhappy from the school because she did not enjoy the school. And she says, what shall I do? So I said, action research is the way. Go the action research way, and you can do it. And we achieved the result. Can you believe that at the end of that course, we stretched the course for one whole semester. At the end of the course, she was top of the class, going regularly to class, making efforts, but then the action research helped. How did we achieve that? We'll take account of that as we move forward. Some parents said, my child is always with the cell phone, playing some games and this and that, and not at all listening. We did action research. Everything worked out. The child was able to play, yet study, yet go out and play and do other things as well. So it helps. It helps in many different ways. And I'm going to show how it helps in the religious context also. Okay, so let us move forward. Theory generated by traditional academicians, like, in our quality research, we generate theories, we do all these things. It is generally abstract. Whatever they are, it involves speaking about concepts and practices from outsider point of view, and it hangs together linguistically. You put together nice language and put it together there for somebody to read, if at all. Okay, so you produce a theory. I don't know whoever will read your theory and whoever will try to use your model, if at all it is used. The model that you generate must be really good for somebody to emulate. But if it is not, if it's simply a dissertation done in a way that is not so satisfactory, people say this is done good for dissertation, not for me. What is it good for me? How am I going to use it? And where will I use it? Okay, so that is what happens. Deductive reasoning. How does the deductive reasoning go? Theory first, you look at the theories in the literature, then you produce your thesis, hypothesis, how the literature tells you what is supposed to be done. So theories are there, and that theory, you produce hypothesis. Using that hypothesis, you make your research questions and then collect data. Different ways of collecting data. Okay, and then you confirm whether the theory is right or wrong. Okay, and this is work of the dissertation, mainly research. This is not the work of a normal person. The one who is not involved in all this dissertation, they will not bother about these things. They want to know how I can use it in my home, how I can use it in my classroom. Oh, my classroom is so disturbing. The children are not obeying. They are indisciplined. They talk when I'm also talking. They are quarreling among themselves. How will I bring about discipline in the classroom? That's what they are interested in. They are not interested in this hypothesis, this, that, and all those things. They want to know how I can use it now in my classroom. This is the research. Now, if you want to convert this into a dissertation, then you have to go through the process of writing problem statement, writing the research questions, writing the objectives, and all those things that go into research writing. And then you come up with your literature review and those things. Now, literature review is a good thing. We should do literature. Even when you are doing at home, literature is good. You want to find out what people say about this thing. Like my children are not obedient at home. They are always producing. When I say something, they talk back. They are not obedient. They want to do their own thing. Whenever I say something, they want to do opposite. And so, what shall I do? Now, for that, they can go to the literature in the review of literature kind of thing and find out what people have done before or what literature says, what people have done research about this, and so on and so forth. But at home, parents, they don't have time to do all this. Plus, they want to know, is there something I can do now? Tell me. And this can work. This can work. And it does work actually, I should say. Inductive reasoning, how does the inductive reasoning work? There is observation. Now, deductive reasoning is a quantitative study. Inductive reasoning is a qualitative study. And in the qualitative studies, there are so many different kinds. We have attended some of them. There is appreciative inquiry, there is ethnography, there is phenomenology, there is narrative inquiry, there is varieties, all sorts of things are there. And offshoots also are there, case study and things like that. But in that is qualitative study, that is inductive. But in deductive reasoning, we have all these, experimental designs, correlational design, there is predictive design, cause relational design, and those are the quantitative data collection with questionnaires and all that. And in qualitative study, inductive reasoning, you do interviews, you do observations, you do documentary research, and so many other. You have a focus group, discussion, and so on. So there are various ways of collecting data. But for this research, okay, action research, you can either use qualitative or quantitative. Both ways it works. Okay. All right. So we will, what is the present problem really? Present problem is traditional educational researchers suggest abstract research findings from unrelated contexts to schools and teachers. So they find out results from schools and teachers, but the context is not the same. Where you come from and where they did research, it is not the same. And therefore, whatever you want to implement has a problem. You cannot say, oh, that is same as my school. But that school explained, we were in urban school, we had this, that, and the resources are so much. And those resources have nothing to do with what resources you have in your school. And so you say, how will it work for me? And so they say, this research is not for me. Many practitioners find the suggested solutions by dissertations and all that, what are the solutions, what are the implications, in their own context, non-fit or misfit. They say whatever is suggested by these researchers in dissertations, it is non-fit or misfit. It is not the same as my context in many cases. And if you say, then why don't you do research? They say, you mean to say I have to do the research dissertation to do my small thing here? That is not what I want to do. So how do I proceed? This discourages them from using any research suggestions in their context. It discourages people to apply the suggestions that are made because they do not consider their concept, their context. It is based on the context of where the research was done. Maybe in developed country, or maybe the country's resources are available, or maybe the country's resources are different than the resources you have, and maybe your culture is different than the culture there. So all those factors you have to consider before you do research. But here in this case, when you do research, action research, you are involved in that, you get the results, you are happy. Okay, so that is what is one interesting thing about action research can help make the difference. It can help the difference. How? Definition of action research. Let us see what is the definition of action research. Action research is a disciplined process of inquiry conducted by and for those taking the action. It is conducted by and for those taking the action. That means it is done for myself. I am doing it for myself. I am not doing for somebody else. I want the result for myself. And that is the important part of action research. You do it for yourself. The primary reason for engaging in action research is to assist the actor in improving and or redefining his or her actions. So it is your own actions that you are defining. Okay, so you are redefining your actions or you want to improve your actions. So that is the situation that we are having the action research for, So it is a very interesting inquiry. Theory generation for practical business and everyday life. Okay, the questions they ask are, how do I or we make sense of the situation we are in? This is the situation I am in. How do I make sense of this? Okay, what should I do to improve this thing? Then how do I show and explain what I am doing? This kind of theory takes personalized form and is called action research. It is inquiry into one's own practice. Your own practice. You are inquiring into your own practice. Okay, so this is action research. Let us see what happened. What is action research? what am I doing? Do I need to improve anything? If so, what? How do I improve it? And the next question you ask, why should I improve it? By improving it, is it going to make any difference? Why should I improve? Okay, so that is how we look at action research. And then a form of inquiry anyone can do to investigate and evaluate their work. You research your own practice. Your own practice, okay? Anyone can do to investigate their own work, their own practice. So it is for anybody. It is not specifically for writing dissertations. You can write a dissertation, but it is not only for writing dissertation. It is for solving your own personal problems that you are facing. Okay, here, this question. Then think about how to improve. Think about how you have tried to improve. Okay, how to improve. Then you think about how you try to, like for a discipline problem in the classroom. Think about how you are going to improve and how you tried to improve before by telling them, shh, be quiet, don't make noise. How did you try before? Think why some things worked and some things did not. Sometimes some things worked and some things did not work. Think about how it influenced your life and the lives of others involved. Reflection is an integral part of action research. Thinking, knowing how did it happen before, what did I do before, why did not it work, what can I do now so that it will improve, it will become better. So reflective thinking is very important. Thinking about the situation that you are in, thinking about what is happening. And you remember one thing, this research cannot be done with one cycle. You cannot go through the cycle and say, finished, I did it. No, you have to do several cycles. Go again and again, because you may be successful partially. And then you have to change your strategy maybe a little bit or tweak it a little bit so that it becomes more meaningful now. You say that this worked, but not so very well. Let me try something else. Or this is working for some reason or the other, but not, I do not know why. So what we do is we work on action research in this way. It is always relevant to the participant because they determine the research focus. I determine my focus of research because I am the one doing it for myself. Okay. Then the researcher is the primary consumer of the findings. I am doing the research, I am the consumer. Whatever results I get, this is for myself, not for somebody else. Okay. So that I am the consumer. The researcher can focus on something they most care about, their teaching and development of their students. It is possible. You want to teach and make sure that how my students will develop. And for that you are doing, but that is also for yourself only, for your students, for your own teaching program. So that is what it's all about. Seeing a real difference in students' lives, teaching seems worthwhile for the researcher. So when he sees a difference in students' lives, the teacher feels my research was worthwhile. When he sees his own students improving, doing better, and that is what is important. Reasons for doing research, action research. One, you can improve learning in order to improve practice. You improve learning to improve practice. So you are practicing something, but that practice is not, you are not satisfied with it. So you improve your learning, so the practice will become better. How do you improve your learning? By doing action research. Okay. Then you can advance knowledge and theory with new ideas about how things can be made, done, and why. Can you give the definition of theory? If you want to build a theory, what definition will you give? It's a very simple thing. You describe what you are doing. Okay, first of all, you describe what you are doing and tell why you did what you did. Okay, what you are doing or what you did, you describe what you did, then tell why you did what you did, and then give reasons. Explain the reasons why what you found is relevant. If these three things you can put together, why you are doing what you are doing, first thing. Okay, this is what I did, And this is how I did it. And why did you do it? This was the reason I did it. If you write that down, it becomes a theory. Describing and explaining makes a theory. Now that theory has to be tested by somebody else. Does this really work? It worked for this fellow. He has given complete description of what he did, why he did, and how he did it, explaining how he did it. And now it is here. Now you see, this is the theory that he has built. Let me try it in my situation. Will it work? And that becomes a practice. That becomes testing the theory. Okay, and the theory can be tested. You can contribute to new understanding and about how certain situations can be handled. How will you handle certain situations? So this is how this action research can help you with. What is the history of action research? Well, I will not go much, but John Collier, between 1933 and 1945, he did first action research on education and social context of Native Americans. Long time ago. 1930, 1940, he did the first action research on Native Americans. Okay. Then there was Kurt Lewin in 1946. We in our literature review for action research, Kurt Lewin comes very much, even though it's very old, but classic example. Decision making and industrial productivity. He did action research for industrial productivity. How people can be helped in industry. Under you, those who are under you, you are a supervisor. How can you help them to produce better, produce more? And that was the Kurt Lewin's study, and very well taken. Later, Lawrence Stenhouse and John Elliott gave action research great impetus. This is just a history. What they said: plan, act, observe, reflect, and plan again. Second cycle. Now we are going to go through all this process while we are learning now. Plan, act, observe, reflect, and plan again. Okay. So you plan something, then put it into action, observe what happened, reflect on it, make some changes if you want, and then again plan and start going the second cycle. Then third cycle. Sometimes many cycles have to be done. Remember, one cycle is not enough. Somebody did research with one cycle and it was almost thrown away by the external examiner. He says one cycle is not enough for action research. It is not an action research. Okay, how do we add to the knowledge base? Make a knowledge claim first and describe and explain it. See, I told you, describe and explain it. Describe. What do you describe? What you did, how you did, and why you did. Explain why you did it. Look at the following examples. For example, here is how you claim your knowledge. What did you? I have improved my practice as a teacher, and I can describe what I have done and explain why I have done it. If you can describe what you did and you can explain why you did it, it becomes, and it has improved my practice. You are claiming that knowledge. Your claim is what? I improved my practice. I became a better person, better teacher. Why? This is what I did, and this is why I did it, and my practice has improved. I became a better teacher. So this is the knowledge claim that you make. Some of the manager how can say, I am a better manager than before because I have studied what I am doing now, and I explain how and why my practice is better. If you can explain that, you have added to the knowledge base. Okay. Then we have another thing. Tithing practice in my church has significantly improved. This is your claim. You are claiming this. Tithing has significantly improved in my church. Okay. I can describe what I have done and explain why I have done it. So you are claiming that tithe is good, but then I am describing what I have done and I am explaining why I have done it. If you have done that, you have generated a theory. You have generated a theory, okay? Because it has helped you. So it is very personal for yourself But what happens is this: somebody else can take and try it in their place, what you did, because you are claiming it helped you. Tithing is improved. So if the tithing is improved, the other church will say, let me try this also, what he did. Maybe it will help my church also. So that is you make the claim and you describe in detail how you did it and why you did it. Okay. So that is what. Purpose of action research: to generate new knowledge, to use new knowledge to generate new theory. See, you claim the knowledge and then you generate a theory. What is your theory? I am claiming that my practice improved. I became a better teacher, or my church is having a more tithe now. So that is your claim, knowledge claim, new knowledge. And then my theory is this is what how I did it, and this is why I did it. It is your claim, and you produce the explanation why you did it and how you did it, and that generates the theory, new theory. Another word for description and explanation is theory. You describe and explain, it is the theory. So you generate a theory if you describe and explain your claim. Your claim for what? Claim for knowledge, new knowledge. Rigor in action research. Quality of action research is directly related to its usefulness to the intended recipient. If it is not useful, action research is of no use. We do not want to do mental gymnastics with research, like how it works, why I'm doing this, some abstract ideas you come up with. That is not the thing. It should be useful to the intended recipient. That means if you want your students to improve in their studies, you can do it. We are, as an education department, professors this December are going to Finland. Why? Why are you going to Finland? Because it is adjudged by the World Education Body that Finland's education practices are the best in the world. Their students perform terrific. And why does it do that? Because there is a way of teaching the students how they do it. And we are going there to learn what they are doing really, so that we can learn and come and practice here. So we are going there this December. They are claiming, and not only they are claiming, the world body is telling that they are good. So if they are good, we want to find out why they are good. They are claiming they are very good, and then they say this is what we did and this is why we did it. This is how we did and this is why we did. And so we want to know those. We are going to interview those professors. We are going to interview the teachers. We'll interview the parents also, some if possible, and then find out. So that is action research. Accuracy here depends on the audit trail. How good is your research depends on the audit trail. What is audit trail? Audit trail means you write down everything you did. I first did this, I secondly did this, third I did this, fourth, till the end where you get your results. So that is called audit trail. So when you write it down, the one who wants to practice, he will follow your audit trail in order to see whether they get the same result. If there is no audit trail, they will try anything and they'll say it doesn't work for us. But if the audit trail is there, how you followed step by step the process to achieve the goals that you intended to do, then they can also have that trail to follow. When you go for a hike into the jungle, you have to have a trail. You cannot simply go and get lost. Yesterday we got lost. We were in Dr. Kalbayan's house for their birthday party, their son's birthday party. But coming out, we got lost. We were going round and round all over the place, never finding where the exit is. Because there was no audit trail. We did not have the trail for us. We never looked properly at the houses where we turned. So many turns and twists were there inside going into their house. So by the time we were coming out, we said, is this the turn? Is that the turn? Because there are so many turns here and there. And eventually we got lost because there was no trail left. We did not leave any audit trail. Audit trail is very important to follow in order to achieve the goals that we set, and others can follow also. Okay, it is audit trail, bias avoidance, data collection, analysis, and findings. So all these things should be properly documented so that others can see how you did the thing. The major rigor process is that the researcher makes mistakes and learns from them. While you are doing, you make mistake, and how do you learn? You do the second cycle. Then again, if you make some simple mistakes, how do you learn? You correct your mistake and take the third cycle. So you do the cycles till you achieve the goals that you set for yourself. That's why single cycle is not enough. You cannot say I perfectly achieved my goals with one cycle. You can never achieve perfectly the goals with just one cycle. You need to do several cycles, and that's why it may take little time. But you can reach your goals. Research questions and designs are often emergent. That is important. You cannot make research questions ahead of time and say, this is what I am finding. But they are emergent. You may change them, and changeable, contingent upon the cycles. Therefore, generalizability is not part of the rigor. You cannot say, now this is what I found, therefore it is applicable to others also. It is not like taking sample, and the sample is representative of the population. Therefore, if it is good for the sample, it is good for the population. That is the quantitative kind of idea. But here it says the generalizability is not part of the rigor. We are not going to say this worked for me, therefore it is going to work for you also. No, there is no such claim. It worked for me, you try it. If it works for you, well and good. Okay. So what matters is improvement of practice with visible change. There should be visible change in the practice. Okay. So when you practice it, there should be a visible change. If visible change is not there, then it is just, you can say mentally, this was a very good research. I did a very good research. I used all what I know about research. And this is what I think may work. Now, may work, that means visible change is not there. You are claiming it may work. Who knows whether it will work or not? There should be, for action research, visible change is essential. You should see the change that is taking place. If you cannot see the change, then it is not action research. Rigor continues. Repetition of the cycles. Very important. You repeat cycles. I'm telling you the importance of cycles because we cannot get the final result with first cycle. Prolonged engagement and persistent observation. Very important. Prolonged engagement and persistent observation. What does that mean? That means before you start the research, you say, I'm going to do now for my son. He is not studying very well. He is not getting good grades in classes. And I want to make sure that there should be an action research which will help him to study and do well in his classes. Not necessarily with top of the class, but at least to his best potential he should do. So that is the idea. So when we say that you observe for 10 to 15 days or maybe 1 month, just observation of what he does the whole day. After going to class, what happens? After he comes back, what all things he does? In the class, what he does, you ask the teacher. So all these things you do for several days and keep a log of this. So you know what all things are happening so that you can make changes in those things in order to achieve the goal. Positive changes, reasonable changes, and acceptable changes to you and your child. The acceptable changes should be for both of them, both of you and the child. That is the way it should move forward. Okay, so possible changes, acceptable changes. We cannot make changes with harsh punishments. So acceptable changes should be there for both parties. Reasonable changes. There should be reasonable change also. We do not want to jump drastically from one to the other end. We want the changes to take place in progressive steps, little by little, until the goal is observed. So prolonged engagement is essential. Experience with the process. You should get experience with the process so that you can apply it carefully and properly. polyangulation of data. You have heard of triangulation of data. But here they are saying polyangulation. What is polyangulation? Polyangulation means more than 3 ways of collecting data. Triangulation is 3 ways. Polyangulation is more than 3. Poly means more, many. Polygon, we say. Triangle, polygon, quadrilateral. These are polynomials, polygons. So the authors are suggesting polyangulation is important. That means you collect data from many different sources. You can collect data from questionnaire. You collect data by giving survey. You can collect data by observation. You collect data by interviewing the teacher or interviewing the students. You can collect data by focus group discussion. You collect data by documents that they have, the child's progress report, all that kind of thing. So you collect data polyangulation, different ways. You know, I helped one student with actually two of them with uh, grounded theory research. Now, grounded theory is quite quite an extensive work because we are developing a theory and it should be based on something that is solid data. Can you believe that girl was doing Hongi Kingan? Hongi Kingan is a sociological practice, cultural practice in Korea. How did that country become so powerful? In 1974, they were one of the poorest countries. Now they are one of the richest countries. What happened? What is it? So Ingan, Hongi Kingan is their cultural practice and they use that practice. And so she took that practice and wanted to make administrative theory out of that. To do that, she had to watch movies. She had to get the literature, ancient literature. She had to go to museums to find out how the museums were from earlier days till now, how it developed. She had to do literature of the country, what people wrote then and what people are writing now. And she did so much. It took a long time for her. But she came with a fantastic research. When her external examiner came, the best one in the whole of the Philippines. He came from Baguio. We invited him because he was acclaimed for this. He said, this is the best research I have read in grounded theory so far. Very good. He gave very good remarks for that because she spent a lot of time making that grounded theory. But it polyangulation, not 2-3 data set that this person said this person said this one. Do they agree? That is not the way. There are different ways of collecting data, different data sources, as I mentioned to you about this girl. Okay, so I'm very proud of her. Polyangulation of data. Okay. Member checking is important when you do, when you do interviews, you should send the information back to the person whom you took interview from so that they can read it and then they'll tell, yes, this is what I said. They have to agree because you might have missed and you might have written something different. So they have to agree, or they can correct and say, oh, I didn't mean that, what you wrote, what you found out. But you can say, but this is what I recorded. Yeah, but no, I don't think people will misunderstand me. Please change it. So if they tell to change, you can change it. So this is called member checking after the interview. And then participant debriefing. You debrief with the participants. That means you take permission from them and then you tell them, this is how I have analyzed your data. Whatever I have got from you, this is how I have coded it. This is how I have made the themes out of it, categorizing, theme producing and all that. This is how I done. Are you in agreement with what I did, or do you think this is some kind of my own imagination? Because I read your interview and I am the one who is going to analyze it. Therefore, my biases will come in the picture. So when my bias comes in the picture, then I might misinterpret little bit here and there, want to tweak it here and there, so it fits my thinking. Do you think this is what you said, this is what it should be as a theme, or no? And if they agree, yeah, looks good and all that, fine. But if they say, no, what you wrote is not what, this is not I believe, this is not my belief. Then you have to go back and see what was problem. So that is debriefing, constant engagement. That is Mutler's book. This is how rigor. Now, Macknick suggests following action, reflection cycle. Here, action reflection cycle, this Macknick has very good idea. Mutler has good ideas also. Observe, reflect, act, evaluate, modify, move in new direction. This is the process Macknick suggests. Now, what I am saying is, we are going to elaborate on this. So you don't have to worry about this. Reflect, observe, reflect, act, evaluate, modify, move in a new direction. Move in a new direction means go back cycle. All right. So we are going to do reflection is, I said in the beginning, reflection is a very important aspect of action research. You have to think what is happening and what you want to see as happening. This is what is happening. I am not happy with it. Okay. But this is what I want to see happening, so that I will be happy and others also who are involved will be happy. So this is the whole thing process. That is how the reflexive thinking comes. Okay, 3 types of knowledge are there. Let us get these 3 types of knowledge. Know that propositional knowledge. What is propositional knowledge? See, you are going to generate knowledge. What is the knowledge you are generating? This is worked for me. I became a better teacher. I became a better manager. I became a better pastor. This is my claim. This is the knowledge I am giving. What is the knowledge? So my proposition for knowledge is my claim. And that claim is described by, you say you did this one. You describe, I did this. Why you did it and how you did it. Explain. And then you have the theory. Okay. Know how. Know that is propositional knowledge. Know how is procedural knowledge. I know how to do this. Demonstrate, like bike riding, And know that propositional knowledge is, we get to know through our facts and figures. That is propositional knowledge. Procedural knowledge is, I know how to do this. I know how to bike. Look, I can bike. That is procedural knowledge. Procedure, we are showing the procedure, how you can bike, so that people can see that, yes, you know how to bike. Okay, so the procedural knowledge. Third is personal knowledge. This is called tacit knowledge. What is tacit knowledge? It takes intuitive form. You just know it by contact with the living world. You can touch your nose without looking, isn't it? You don't have to look, where is my nose? You just touch your nose without knowing. That is tacit knowledge. It is a knowledge because you lived in this world, and by the experiencing in the world, your interaction in the world teaches you a lot of things. That is tacit knowledge. Okay, pianist knows when the note sounds just right. So when the piano is playing, you also, when you do not, even if you do not know properly how to play, you know that's wrong. The song doesn't go that way. So this is called tacit knowledge. The knowledge that comes by living in this world and by experiencing the world. Okay, like when you are eating food, we do not put food in our nose. We know where our mouth is. That is tacit knowledge. Okay, so that is how the knowledge is. Action research. It is value based. Okay, it is value based. Hence, we gauge to what extent the values are achieved. That also is important. It is a value based, so that we try to find out to what extent the values are achieved in this one. What are those values? Ontology now. Study of being. Why we exist. I value the Sabbath. Why? Why do you value Sabbath? Here is given an example. I value Sabbath. Why do I value Sabbath? That is ontology. Study of being. Why do I think Sabbath is important to me? Is it really important, or I just think that it is important? So this is a value-based idea. It is I value Sabbath. Why do I value Sabbath? Important aspect. Okay, so that is a value-based ontology. Study of being. Epistemology is focus of inquiry, knowledge. How do I get knowledge? Inquiry is I. Now, in this case, the inquiry is me. I am the researcher, I am the benefactor. I do the research, and whom does it benefit? Me? Are my clients, the ones who I'm working with. Knowledge is uncertain and ambiguous. That is one thing, epistemology. You cannot say knowledge is fixed. Knowledge you know. But for this purpose, this action research, it is uncertain and ambiguous. Why? Because it keeps changing as you go from cycle to cycle. Whatever you learn is not enough. You say, I want to find more. And so you go through the cycle again. So that it is ambiguous and uncertain. And a question may generate multiple answers. You may get multiple answers. Knowledge is created as well as discovered. You create a knowledge and you discover as you go along. Okay. Any answer is tentative, subjective, and constantly improved. You are improving constantly by cycles. Okay. So it is subjective and it tentative also. Why tentative? Because you cannot say this is the final answer. It can improve. Even when you do after 3-4 cycles, you find the answers and you are satisfied, but that may not be the final. There may be some improvement further essential. And somebody else can come with following your steps. They may say, well, this can be some more and get more information. So this is tentative only for action research. Methodology, it is open-ended and developmental. Researcher is involved, that is insider, and not an outsider. He is not an outsider. He is the researcher, he is the benefactor. It is for improvement. Action research is for improvement. We want to see practical, that it is working. Then only it is action research. If it's not working, you are not achieved your goal. Action research is not there. Social commitment, to improve workplace by improving learning. Okay, your social commitment is what? To improve workplace by improving learning. It is a cyclical process. It goes in cycles, remember. So the action research is not just any method of research. It is a research that will produce results. Definitely it should produce results. If it does not produce results, that means you have not done action research properly. Okay. So now moving forward, your personal values. What could be your personal values? Here. Why you don't change there anything? Eh? You go to something else because they are doing some recording. All right. So what values inspire me, my life? Why do I do this work? What makes life worthwhile? These are personal values. Your personal values are, what values inspire me? Why do I this work? And what makes my life worthwhile? This is some kind of values you have. Like values, for example, you are happy. You want to make democratic classroom, work together, listen more, talk less, good rapport with students, trust, understanding, and respect. These are the values you emulate. Okay, these are the values you emulate. Like for example, let's see, task for you, a task here. Give episode where you lived your value and another when you did not. Where you lived your value. Okay, if you just think about it, where there are so many good values in our life. So, but can you have an example where you lived your value? Let me tell you one example in my life. Simple example. Where you lived your value? I go to buy some things in Silang market. And so few years ago, I had gone there to buy. And I bought vegetables and I gave 1,000 pesos to the lady. And she took the money and she put in the drawer and she started talking to the other person. So when she saw me standing, oh, I did not give change. So what she did was, she gave me 600 pesos back. But I gave her only 500 pesos. But she gave me 600 pesos back. and I had bought only for 400. So she had given me 500 more. She should have given me just 100 back. So I told, I gave you only 500. Didn't you give me 1,000? I said, no, you did not give me 1,000. I gave you only 500. So she said, oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you very much. And then she said something. Are you from AIIAS? Value. She values AIIAS. She thinks people in AIIAS are honest people. See? So that value I practiced right there. So value, do we practice value? You can think about that. And when I did not practice value, that example also I should give. Respect. The previous point says respect. When I was teaching high school, in the 8th grade class, a student was there. He was from Bengal, the eastern side of India. Very smart. Very smart means beyond my expectation. In mathematics, top. Whenever I ask question, he is the first to answer. He will tell the answer, and that is correct always. Always. He knew whatever I taught, he would listen carefully and just answer. I told him, there are others also. Let me ask them questions before. But he cannot sit quietly. He was so vibrant and so, very, very active. And so he'll say, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then whenever I ask the question, he will blurt out the answer without raising hand. I said, now hereafter, you will all raise the hand. Then whichever hand I point out, that is the hand that person is going to answer. So he sat quietly, and when I asked the question, he raised the hand, and others also raised the hand, but he raised the hand and answered also, same time. The boy was getting on my nerves. I said, others have to learn also. Yes, yes, sir, others. Then I give them work in their seats, and I said, you do your work now. This answer, this. This fellow will finish these answers quickly and walk around to see. You made a mistake. This is not right. You are not doing it correctly. He will go and point out all mistakes of everybody, and they will get very upset. You go away, sit in your place. Don't tell us what is wrong with our math. He was just irritating everybody there. They were really angry, and I was getting angry also. But he was smart. He knew what he was doing. So when I tell him sometimes, okay, that person needs help. You finish, right? Now you don't roam around. Go and help that person. So he'll go and humiliate that person so badly that that person doesn't want him near. He'll say, don't you know this? Such a simple thing. You should have noted in elementary school. All that. So that person will say, I am dumb. I don't know. You go. I don't want to help. So this is how he was. One day he got on my nerves so badly. I got very angry with him. So what I did, smart guy. What I did was I held him, turned him around, and kicked him on his back. Of course, those days, in those days when I was teaching 1974, 75, there were no such big rules about corporal punishment and all that. I kicked him. The fellow fell down on the ground badly. Started crying, 8th grade fellow, only 12 years old or something, 12, 13 years old. He was crying and crying, poor fellow. I was feeling very bad for him. So lifted him and brought him and sat in the class, sat quietly. And I was feeling, I'm very sorry, I told him, I'm sorry, I should not have done it. But, you made me so angry, that's why, all that. He just kept quiet. Do you know what happened after that? Next day when he came to class, and the next day he never spoke one word in the class. Even when I asked him questions, he would not answer. It became so bad, I felt very bad. I said, what did I do to this one? I should be respecting my students. But I did such a bad thing, the value. I had the value for respect, but I forgot that respect there. I did not respect the child. I kicked him, humiliated him in front of everybody. So that was, a really bad thing I did. He did not speak throughout the year. Even though I coaxed him, I tried to do this, that, he never spoke. I was his math teacher, but of course, I kept in touch with him for a while. He was in Calcutta. He was a big engineer. He became an engineer. He was building dams and he was building huge bridges for the government. Very smart fellow. Bengali fellow. Very smart, you know. But, I did not do the right thing. Even when I'm angry, I should not be doing that. But that's what I did. So that was the value when I did not practice my value. Very bad thing. You may be having some experience like that when you did not value the values in your life. Think about those things and make sure that you live up to your values. Your organizational values, organization means where you work, the school that you work for, the church that you work for. What are your values? Organizational values must match values, your values. So the organizational values must match your personal values also. If they are mismatched, then you are not fit. If you don't believe in the church doctrines, then you are not fit for that church. You should not be in that church as a pastor. Or when you in the schools, ideologies are different, the value system is different, and you value different things, then that is not the school for you. You should not be there. So they should match. Your values must match organizational values. Then now plan how you can achieve your goals in line with the organizational goals. You will have goals for your life. Make sure your goals are in line with the organization goals. They are not in opposition. Your goal, like organization should prosper, you also should make plans how you will prosper along with the organization. Action planning, issues, questions, and your response. Okay, how do you plan for action? What really matters to me? That is the question I ask. What really matters to me? What do I care passionately about? What kind of difference do I want to make? These questions I ask for myself. Okay, what are my values? Why do I hold them? Values are important for me. So why do I hold my values? Because when I'm doing the action should be in line with my values. Like I did the action in punishing that child very harshly. That way, does it match with my values? That is important. If it doesn't match with my values, then there are problems. Then we have here, what am I interested in investigating? And why am I interested in investigating that? Okay, what data can I gather to see the present situation and reasons for my concern? So, as I told before, 10, 15 days or more, you observe what is going on. Present situation. What is the present situation? Make notes, make logs, and see if every day it is happening, the same thing is happening. How is it happening? Why? And then you make log as to this is what happens at this time. This is what happens at this time. And this is what is not in line with the values that our family holds, and so on. So, and then reasons for your concern. What are the reasons? What is the concern that you have? Now, what can I do about it? That is the question. In action research, that's what you ask. What can I do about it? What shall I do? What solutions can I find? Turning how to questions into social intent. How to turn into social intent. Okay, like for example, how do I, or we questions, how do we encourage members to participate in Sabbath school lesson study? Suppose that is your question. How do we encourage members to participate in Sabbath school lesson study? Most of them don't learn and come. They don't study, simply come there. So how do we make them? What is happening here? Questions now. What is happening now? What is happening now? You find out what is happening. When you ask question, they do not know what you are talking about. Okay, what could be reason for not participation? You want to find out what could be the reason for why they are not participating in Sabbath. How are members encouraged to participate? Are we doing any encouragement to participate? What shall we do about it? Questions now. What shall we do about it? How do I encourage members to participate? What can church do to help members participate? What can I use different methods of teaching to involve members in lesson discussion. What shall I do? So these are the questions. What is the present condition? Okay. What do I questions? What do I questions? Then what is happening now questions? And what shall we do about it questions? Okay. So this is how we progress. Then we have why process for problem identification. Now, how you want to find the identification, the root cause of the problem. Once you identify the root cause, you stop. So you want to find out what is the problem? Ask these questions. Now I'm going to give you questions. If you follow these questions and get the answers, you will find the root cause. Like for example, first question, what specific problem have you observed? Now you want to know, what is the specific problem? Members don't participate in Sabbath school lesson study. Okay, that is what you have observed. They don't participate in Sabbath school lesson study. Next, why does it happen? Or why doesn't it happen? Why don't they participate? They don't study in preparation for the discussion. That is the answer you get. Okay, why does or doesn't it happen? Because they don't prepare for the discussion. Next, again you ask the same question. Why does or doesn't it happen? Why they don't study in preparation? They assume that someone will teach the lesson. Okay, so you don't get the same answer. You ask, why are they not studying? Oh, they assume that somebody will teach the lesson. Then next question. Oh, why doesn't it happen? Why do they assume that? They don't see the importance of participation. They don't see the importance of participation. Next question. But why don't they see the importance of participation? Again question. They are not encouraged to participate. Okay, they are not encouraged to participate. All right, now next question, same question. Why are they not encouraged to participate? I did not use cooperative methods to get them involved. Here you got the problem, issue. You yourself as a teacher have not got them involved in cooperative, that means discussing with each other in answering the question. Now you got the root cause. Now you proceed from here. How will you get them to talk to each other before answering so that everybody can participate? So same question you ask again and again till you get the root. And once you get the problem, now you want to tackle it. What evidence will I produce to show the situation is as it unfolds? Now, once you start, what evidence will you produce? That is, you are going to, you are going to tell what you did, why you did it, and how you did it. So you have to produce evidence. You have to give the trail. Evidence. You have to show the evidence. This is what I found. This is what I found. This is how I progressed from this to that until the last stage. Okay. So, how do I ensure my conclusions are reasonable and fair? Now, once you come to the conclusion that this works, how do you know they are reasonable and fair? How do I test my claim to knowledge? Your claim to knowledge is this worked for me. That is your claim. It is working for me. I am a good teacher now. I am a good manager now. I am a good Sabbath school teacher now. Okay. So this is for me. But that knowledge claim, how do you view reasonable and fair? How do you know your conclusion is reasonable and fair? You have this polyangulation data that can give the information. Okay, next. How do I intend to modify my ideas and practice in light of my evaluation? Okay, after doing my study, how am I going to modify now? How am I going to do differently? Like teaching the Sabbath school lesson. How should I prepare now so that everybody can simple questions, help them to understand, read the Bible text so that they can discuss among themselves. So you modify your teaching practice there. Action research planning. Now here is the one. We have to work the plan. All right, how do you plan now for the action? Now here I am going to take you through beginning to end. How does it work in action research? Research issue. Now how did you get the research issue? We ask the question, why does it happen? And we got the root cause. Here it is. improving my time management. I am having problem with time management, let's say. And then, I'm not able to complete my tasks. I'm not able to, what is problem? What is the problem? That is problem. Or you can have encouraging good staff relationship. You are the principal of a school and you want to encourage you want to see good staff relationship. Your teachers are, working together happily and the relationship is good. Now, what is the research question for the first one? How do I improve my time management? That is the question, my research. And the next one is, how do we encourage good staff relationship? How do you encourage? That is my research question. How do I encourage good relationship? And now you can ask yourself the question, what is the issue now you have? Your child is not studying well, or your child is not obedient, or your students are not listening to you, or your church members are not coming on time to church. We see morning when their children are participating, they all come. But when Sabbath school time beginning, there are only few people. Now, what should the church administration, the pastor and team, what should they do in order for them to come early? So we have to find the root cause. What is the cause? Why they are not coming? We used to have before. If you don't, some of you, I do not know if any of you remember. We used to have church there. There was no church here. This building was not there. We used to meet in the auditorium, in this gym. There were so many chairs every day, every time. Friday, fantastic cleaning and nice arrangement. But how we used to come to church? First, the divine service, then Sabbath school, and then the lesson study. So lesson study can go as long as you want. You can, as long as the team is working together and happy, lesson you go on. Those who finished can go home. Those who are having lesson study continue. But once we had that divine service first, people started coming early because they didn't want to miss the divine service. Many people come for divine service. You see, the church is kind of full when divine service time. So when we had divine service first, people were coming somehow or the other, they will make sure that they are there. Then once they are there for Sabbath school also. That's what our plan was. But then, the administrations changed and different people came. And then they said, we should follow the world order, how our church goes on in the world. So first Sabbath school, then lesson study, then the divine service. So that is the order that followed. But we have to find out why people are not coming. That time they were coming. So this is how do I encourage good staff relationship now? So write down your own issue and concern. What is your issue and concern that you want to address? Find out the root cause and address that. Getting it? Okay. So that is what. Now next, step 1. This is the step 1. Clarify your aim. Research issue, research question. Okay. Then next, what is the concern? What do I wish to investigate? So here is the research question. That is what you want to investigate. Okay. So that is step 1. Let us go to step 2. Why am I concerned about it? Why am I concerned? Reasons for doing the research. You want to research why? Why you want to do the research? Here is the way. Research aim, reason for the research project, purpose for the research project, and value as the basis for planning to take action. What is the value for taking the action? So here is your concern and reason for doing research. Research aim is what? Encouraging good staff relationship. That is what we want to do, find out. Reason for research project, we are working as a separate entities. Every teacher is a separate entity. Close the door and teach in the class. Once the class is over, go to the next class. And when the bell rings, go home. Everybody is private in their classroom. So each one is working separately as a separate entities. Very little contact, which leads to isolation and frustration. Teachers are isolated and frustrated. They may feel burnt out. because they are just teaching and going home, teaching and going home. No interaction. So that's what you have noticed. That is the reason you want to do the study. Purpose of research project, learn to work together. That is the purpose. We want to learn to work together, share ideas and reduce threat among staff. So we want to learn together. We want to work together and share ideas. So that is what is our purpose for doing the research. Value, what is the value for the basis for study? The value is collective work. That is our value. Working together cooperatively. That is a value, working together. Responsible action sharing. That is a value. We are responsible for each other. Okay, action. Accountability at present not seen at work. We don't see the accountability at work. Accountability also is a value. So we want to practice that value, accountability. But that is not really seen at work because each one is doing individually what they want to do. Okay, next. Step 3. Identify objectives and targets. What are your objectives and targets? Here is it. Action research question. What we need to know and to be able to do in order to achieve our aim. What should we do? What we need to know and what we be able to achieve in order to achieve our goal. So you want to know certain things in order to achieve the goal. All right. So you want to know the basic problem. You want to know certain things. So you may want to know some research that is done by others. You want to talk to other teachers. You want to talk to other suppose you are an administrator, you want to talk to other administrators of other schools, how they are handling their teachers. So you get knowledge, you get information as to how the people handle things so that you can be more knowledgeable to do the work. Okay. So we have here how to achieve the goal. Here, aim, objective, knowledge, skills, and understanding. What is the aim? Good staff relationship is our aim. Our aim is good staff. An objective, strategies to develop relationship. What strategies should we use to develop relationship? Then knowledge, we'll know how to work together. That is the knowledge. You want to have the information, how to get our staff to work together. That will be your claim at the end, the knowledge claim, that I got the staff to work together and be happy. That is your claim. And this is what I did. This is how I did it. And this is why I did it. You got the theory. Skills, will initiate conversation and agree on and disagree amicably. So you want to initiate conversation so that the teachers will agree and disagree amicably. They should learn to disagree also, agree to disagree. That also. What is the understanding? We'll explain why it is important to have good relationship with the colleagues. So this is what we want to inculcate in. This is very good to have. It is important to have good relationship with our colleagues. Step 3. Then step 4, plan for activities and milestones. How will you plan for activity and milestone? Here is the action research question. What do we hope to achieve at key points? And how will we achieve it? That means progressive. What will I achieve at this step? What will I achieve in this step? What will I achieve? You know, there is something called stepwise perfection. So perfection doesn't come in one step. It's a stepwise perfection. You reach this level, you are perfect at that level, move to the next level, perfect there, move to the next level. So perfection is not one-time perfection. It is stepwise perfection. At first level, you set a goal. This is what I'll achieve. And then once you reach there, you say, okay, that is my perfection. Now go to the next level, try to achieve that perfection. So what do you hope to achieve at key points? How will you achieve them? Here is the table, targets, activities, and anticipated outcomes. What are the anticipated outcomes? Target, create environment for conversation, offer incentives for collaborative work. That is the target. Activities, get staff to work on a project together. You get them to work together on project. Provide some snacks during work. So these are the activities that will happen. You get the staff, so you give them a project, work together on this project. Okay. And then provide snacks, so they will be happy also while they are working together. So they are learning also how to work together, but snacks will be helpful. Anticipated outcome, sharing of ideas, and positive communication will be there. Social conversation at snack time. At snack time, they can have their social conversations. The social, they can ask about each other's family. They can ask about each other's work and the difficulties they are facing, or how each one can help the other. So that social communication can be there, and sharing of ideas. That's what you want them to do. Sharing of ideas and positive communication. So this is plan of activities and milestones that you put stepwise. Then here is step 5. Consider resources. To achieve the goals, do you have the resource? Aim is good staff relationship. Who needs it? Our school needs it. What do we need? Good coordinator. We need a good coordinator now. Somebody from the staff, from the faculty, who will be a good coordinator. When needed, ASAP, as soon as possible. Where needed? In the school, not outside school. Which needed? Person with experience. Somebody who is experienced person is needed. Availability from current teachers, current personnel. We will choose one. So consider these are the resources that we are thinking about. Resource for person who will lead the team, lead the teachers. Experienced person, and from where you get it, when we now want it, and so on. What do you need? A coordinator. Okay, now that is fifth what? Action question. What do we need to support us? Task after the chart. So the chart, look here the chart. What do we need to support us? We need a person who will coordinate this activity. Next. Step 6. Draw up timelines. Now you want to achieve at certain point, certain time. So the timeline should be there. You cannot say indefinitely we will be working. So timeline here. When and how do we organize our time? Here. Oh. Sixth one, time. Week 1, you insert dates. What you want to do in week 1? Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. Action. Meet with planning group. Decide on action framework, time, people, resources, and roles. So the coordinator is suppose you meet with the coordinator and the meeting with the planning group, decide on what actions they want to do, the framework or the actions, the time frame, in first week what they will do, second week what will they, and people, give different people different tasks to do for the project. Okay, and each one what roles they will play. Time allowed, 2 weeks for consultation and drafting. Negotiate date for the next meeting. So 2 weeks for consultation and drafting, and then negotiate date for the next meeting. So that this is the timetable you are making. And then now let us go to step 6. Articulate criteria. You have to articulate the criteria for your research. Action is the question. What do we expect to happen? What do you expect happening? The criteria for your achievement. You set a criteria saying that this is what I want to see happening now. Now that they have groups, now each one has a role. Now there is a coordinator. Now they know that in 2 weeks they are supposed to give the plan of action and so on. So now what do you expect happening? So this here. Okay, criteria, good staff relationship is our criteria. This is what we want to see. Am I achieving the criteria? Am I seeing good staff achievement? Here, are we encouraging good staff relationship? If it is yes, we talk about projects, we can work on over a snack. So they are talking, they are working over a snack. They are able to communicate with each other, and so Am I seeing good relationship now? I can say yes, it is developing one step at a time, a little bit. So good staff relationship is evident to some extent. That is one step, and that is one perfection. Now, eighth step, articulate standards of judgment. How will you judge whether you are really achieving the goal or not? Okay, so here is the action plan. What is our standard of quality assurance? How do you know qualitatively you are achieving your goal? So this is how we move. Criteria, good staff relationship. Standard, is there good staff relationship? To what extent? Can we quantify this? Can we show difference qualitatively or quantitatively? Okay. So what evidence do you have to show that there is a good staff relationship? What is it? They have produced the project now. And once they come up with the project, final project that you have given them to do, and if they achieve the goal, you know that they have worked together. Because each one had a different role to play in that project. Somebody was supposed to get this data, somebody was supposed to get the other kind of data, and the polyangulation kind of thing. So they collect data from different sources, put it together, and the coordinator of the group will make sure that everything is set in order for presentation. So if that is what has happened, you say the quality assurance qualitatively you can see. And if you are doing quantitative kind of data, then quantitatively you can see also by doing some statistical work, by drawing graphs or by frequencies and other things. Then next, ninth, monitoring, data gathering, data analysis, and interpretation. Here is we have monitoring, data gathering. What do we do for data gathering? Keep a log, journaling, reflection, survey, observation, interviews, memos, all kinds of things you put together. This is the data monitoring. But reflection should be there every time to know whether we are moving forward or not. So reflection, keep a log and journal, put a journal together, write down everything that is happening. Data analysis interpretation, qualitative or quantitative, based on values, literature, experience, and authority. Authority means some authority person, somebody who is expert in that field is talking about it. And so you read about it and say, well, this is staff development, I mean, staff interaction, staff relationship. Somebody has done research and is saying about, talking about it with authority. You can listen to that and see whether they are, what they found agree with what you found. Okay. So the literature and experiences, all those things can come. So data analysis and interpretation. And 10, 11, 12 are evaluation, proposed modification. So once you find the data, you propose modification now. I got some relationship among my staff, but I'm not yet happy. I will give them some more incentives. I am going to give different approach. I'm going to have a different approach and then propose modification and then go for the next cycle. Future action plan. The next cycle will start then. Carrying out our action plan. What is my concern? Job to be done. Identify the research issue and research question. Encouraging good staff relationship. How do we encourage good staff relationship? Oh, we have gone through all this. Job to be done. This is come again. This is repeated. We don't want the same thing again. Oh. Here it is. What kind of data to gather to show a situation is at hand and develop? Job to be done. Describe how you gather data. Explain why you choose specific data gathering methods. May have field notes, episodes, anecdotes. Have these at scheduled intervals. Say gather data every 2 or 3 days over a period of time. Don't think of change, but exercising influence. You don't want to change, but you want to exercise influence so they themselves will change. So your influence should help them to change. You don't try to change them very much. So that's why you have to develop relationship with the persons that you want to change. Okay, and you gather data at scheduled intervals. Data can be episodes, your field notes, anecdotes. You can have that, in quotation marks. If you see some people talking while you want a staff interaction relationship, you see what they're talking about. When they're talking about encouraging each other, you say, this is good. So you write it down. So that is becomes part of your write-up for what you did, why you did, and how you did. So these results are there to show that. And how do you show the result? I think I have achieved staff relationship to some extent. So how do you know that? Here is what they said. Here is how they talked. Here are the incidences. I can see that one teacher was teaching the other teacher, helping the other teacher in providing materials for the class projects or class teaching. Or one teacher was talking to the other teacher about her family matters, why is she sad, what can she do to help. This is a staff interaction, and I am happy that that's happening. So you can show anecdotes, you can show some episodes, some field notes to gather this information to show that you achieved, and here is the evidence. Okay, then don't think about change, drastic change especially, but influence their actions so that they themselves will change. Maintain careful record of your social actions and your learning. You should keep a record of what you are doing, reflection journal. Be imaginative. Don't use questionnaires always. Okay. Sort data regularly at intervals. Sort means code, and all that. Categorize, all that. Sorting information. You are showing process of development. Show how the process unfolds by their speech and actions, as I told you. Analyze and interpret data. So how people talk, how they interact, all that you write down. On such and such a date, you saw this. You saw them talking, we heard them talking like this. You saw them helping each other. You saw them walking together after the school hours, going home together. So this is social interaction. So that you are seeing that they are staff interaction, developing relationship. Look how your actions are influencing others' learning. They should learn from your actions. Influence, not by forcing them to change. Find evidences for your learning, your action, other people's learning, and their action. So your learning and your actions as a principal, and their learning and their actions as teachers in staff relations. So you monitor all that and show how it is working. Check whether you are achieving your goals, values, give evidence. You give evidence for achievement of your goals. And that's why you said you have to keep journal of records, of anecdotes, this, that, and the others. Okay. How will I test the validity of my provisional knowledge and claims? Job to be done. Explain how you tested the validity of your knowledge, claims, and importance of doing so. Find answers to who, what, where, when, which, how, why. These questions you should answer in action research. Study your logs, observation field notes, pictures and videos of socializing. If you're taking videos, pictures. Study group logs, consultation and encouraging each other, encouragement, growing together, research reflections, memos, conversations, all that, helping each other, what they said and did, pictures and videos of socializing, teachers having fun, expressed in joyful conversation. Joy, see people enjoying together, using words and actions of fun and frolic. So you can see that they are socializing and they are having interaction. So this is the evidence that you can show. How will I ensure that my conclusions I come to is reasonable and fair and accurate? Job to be done, demonstrate authenticity of your research and the potential quality and significance of your knowledge claim. Yeah. Show evidence for every claim you make. Make it an ongoing process. You have to give evidence for every time you make a claim. So that evidence should be done, and we talked about it already. Ensure methodological vigor, ethical practice, and sense of social hope. That's what you should do. You should do all your research with ethical practice, rigor, and social hope. Your standards of judgment must be valid. Okay, so when you say something is good or bad, it should have some evidence and it should be value based. Allow critical evaluation of your going on work. Okay, allow critical. That means you read it and see is it really good. Evaluate critically your own work, or ask your friends to evaluate for you. I will claim that I have fostered good staff relations. Now this is your claim. I hope they will see staff helping each other, observing each other's class, sharing notes, enjoying fellowship, using kind words, etc. These are the things you observe as a staff relationship growing. So this is your claim, and this is what you want to observe. Make your claim, describe what you have done, explain why you did what you did. You have got a theory now. How will I modify my concerns, ideas, and practice in light of my evaluation? Job to be done. Identify modifications needed. That is for the next cycle. How will you do things differently now? What did you learn from this? Critique your own actions and thoughts. You critique your own actions, saying that this did not go well. I have to do something about it. Don't simply say, I'm doing very good, I'm going very good. Find out somewhere some things are not going well so that you can improve. Develop new research questions related to the one at hand. So one at hand, you have a question, but develop new questions so that people will be helped better. Okay. So you have repeat the cycle for verification of improvement until you get the desired result. Repeat the cycle. Then, how do I encourage good communication skills? Now, here is the new questions that you can add. How do I encourage good communication skills? How do I practice interpersonal intelligence? How do I engage staff in collaborative activities? So these can be additional things that you can add to helping teachers work together. That was your original question. These can be added later on to improve their relationships more. Existing question, how do I encourage good staff relations? That was our original question. But these questions can be added as you go through cycles more and more. New questions here. Thank you for the participation. No participation here, but I hope you will practice action research. God bless you all. That is not. God bless. Take any question you have. Yes.
There's one question from online.
Uh-huh.
She was asking how you avoid bias.
Yes. Now, bias is something that you cannot avoid completely. That's why you are supposed to address bias by telling reflexively. There is something called reflexivity. Reflexivity means you tell where you come from, what is your background, and what you think about this research. So they can understand what is your bias. And you have to tell also how you are going to reduce the bias. You cannot completely eradicate bias. You can only reduce it. So you can tell this is the procedure I'll follow in reducing the bias by keeping the log. Everything that is happening, I will write down, and then I'll evaluate it, and then I'll make sure that I get the evidence from their own what is happening. I'll write down what is happening, their own anecdotes, their own conversation. I'll do the video recording. I will do the audio recording, taking pictures, so that we becomes evidence collected from the site rather than my own conclusions. So that is trying to avoid the bias as much as possible. But when I interpret the data, there may some bias creeping, but that is unavoidable. That is what I can say. Yeah.
Thank you. Then I have a question of my own before we invite the others. I wanted to ask, so when you look at research questions for action research, how different are they from other qualitative designs?
Well, we saw some of those here. Okay, their first research question was, what is the real problem that I want to address? Getting to the root of the problem. What is the root of the problem? So that is one process of finding. The next process is, what do I want to do with this? Is there what is happening now and what I want to see happening? So that is next thing that I want to find.
So do they follow the cycle?
Yeah, you follow the cycle. There are one first activity, second, third. So you follow, and each one has its own questions. And those are the research questions that you want to answer. So there are 8, 9 activities, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, or step 1, step 2. So each step has its own question. Yes. That is, because if you are doing real research, if you are doing research that you want to present or publish or anything, then the research you will have to give a research kind of activity you have to produce. So you have to know how to code, you have to know how to categorize, you should know how to form themes and all that. But day-to-day work at home, and if you want to find out some changes in your family life, changes in your student in the classroom, then you may not want to do. You see the evidences and you work on those. Yeah, that is the way. But the lady got her daughter to do things by providing some incentives, and that girl started going to school. And by the end of the semester, the girl, as I said, was the top of the class because the mother followed the steps. How this one works, how that one works, and the cycle changed. And the second cycle, what she did. So each cycle she had very good evidence. And by the time she produced her study in the class when she presented, it was really good. And many others also. Some had the problem with their child using cell phone all the time. Some had the problem that they did not want to learn music. So what they did to get them interested in music and so on. So that is how it worked. Is it working? Yeah.
One
Yes.
last one. So your tips on data collection. So research questions maybe follow the cycle. Is data collection unique in any way?
Logs. You keep logs for data collection. Anecdotes. You have your vignettes. They call it vignettes also. There is something that you saw and that struck you. You take note of it. Picture taking, video taking, all these things. Writing down the conversation that they are having. All these things can make a lot of difference. That is the data. So that is why it is called polyangulation. Data from many different sources that you get. And you evaluate data time and again, because you may get data first, but the next time after 2-3 days when you collect data, you will find that it is improved than the previous one. So you can see the improvement in the relationship. And so you can see, you can show that first week it was like this, second week it was like that, third week it was like this. So you can show the improvement in the relationship of the staff. So this can work very well for them. I want to bring to this conclusion because I have 6:30 Zoom meeting also.
Thank you very much.
Welcome. Yeah. So
Bless
thank you
our
very
guidance
much.
as we close.
Thank you very much. All right. We pray.
Thank you, Dr. Sam. It was a wonderful session. Really appreciate it. We'll just have a word of prayer and then we'll close.
Yes.
So let's bow our heads. Let's pray. Lord Jesus, thank you so much. We are so happy to be learning research, and we are glad that we learned this new, or rather this interesting methodology of action research. And Lord, thank you once again for the knowledge. Bless Dr. Sam, bless each one of us, and bring us back again for another session. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Good. How many were there? Oh. Good. Yes.